This is the Dr. Berg Show. Live from the nation's capital, it's time to get healthy, lose weight, and feel great. Call now to speak with Dr. Berg at 866-561-4292. And now, Dr. Eric Berg.
Hi guys, it's good to be back. It's Friday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're here with Karen, and we're going to answer some questions today, if it's related to keto, intermittent fasting, and general health. And by the way, here's my disclaimer. If there's anything that I recommend, it's not meant to diagnose you or provide a treatment. Check with your doctor. This is just for your own entertainment and education. If you want to call in, the number is 866-561-4292. Should be down below if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. But we're going to go right to Kathy from Idaho. Hey, Kathy.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thank you. Yeah, my daughter is 100 pounds overweight, and she won't go on the ketogenic diet because one holistic doctor and two natural nutritionists that we follow say that the ketogenic diet harms the thyroid. And so I just wonder, why would they say that? Does it harm the thyroid? And is there some precaution to take on the ketogenic diet so it wouldn't harm the thyroid?
That's a really good question, Kathy. Let me just answer that. And here, you know, pretty much what I do is I spend my time handling the number one problem, which is misinformation on the net. Misinformation and confusion. There are the great thing about the net is there's a lot of great data. We can share ideas and things. The bad thing is there's massive amounts of false information, misinformation, confusion, and that's why when you try to look up something, you're going to get all this different data, which conflicts. And also, we have to also, if someone says something like that, I would also isolate where do they heard that from, who told them that, get the reference, and then you read it. And then you'll find out, oh, this is sponsored by whatever, some other company. Going on a lower carb diet is very beneficial for the thyroid. It's not a low calorie. It's not going to deprive you of nutrients. There is no data that it shows that keto is bad for the thyroid. However, also the type of keto that I'm going to recommend is a lot of vegetables. It's including all your nutrients. So they might look up a regular keto for kids for seizures, which they're doing liquid fat or oil. Well, that's definitely not what I'm recommending. So we're doing a healthy ketosis plus intermittent fasting. But again, I would find the information, pull the string, and really look at what they're saying, because I think that conflicts with the truth, and then you'll get your answer. But thanks, Kathy. I want to go to Sanjay's been holding for 34 minutes and 45 seconds. Sanjay, how you doing?
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Hello, Karen.
Hi.
It's so great to talk to you. And the first thing I want to say is thank you. I finally found some answers. So I was diagnosed with diabetes. I have a chronic backache since I was a teenager, like 28 years ago. And I developed diabetes like a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And my doctor put me on metformin. I didn't want to go on metformin, but we had to bring down the blood sugars. So I did that, but then I was always looking for something. But I never went to YouTube because I thought YouTube is for I didn't want to go to and waste my time on YouTube. So
I got it.
Then somehow I was just got interested and found you, and in middle of October. And I immediately started without even getting stuff. Like as soon as I saw you, I knew that I got my answers. So I started on the keto program, and within 3 weeks, I lost 8 pounds. My blood sugars came down, and I initially was doing 3 meals. Within a week, I switched to 2 meals. And now, like last couple of weeks ago, I've switched to like one window, like 4 to 5 hour window, feeding window, and then rest is fasting.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So my question is not for me because I watch your videos, so I can control my eating, but I can't control my wife's and my kids' eating. They want to eat carbs, and they can't give up. My wife cannot give up on rice and potatoes.
Yeah.
So what can I do for them, or what you suggest for first for my wife? Like obviously she can do full keto if she wants to.
Yeah.
Second, for my kids who are 11 and 13, what kind of a keto program or an intermittent fasting program I can recommend for them, which will make them more healthy?
Okay, so Sanjay, here's what you do. There's a video I just released on why your friends and family don't do keto and intermittent fasting. So I designed it just for you, because people don't do what they don't understand. So I explain how to explain it very simply. That's what you need to do so they really can get it. But the other thing is you should pull up all these alternative recipes that I have on the site. On my website, under recipes and on the videos, I have incredible junk food, but it's a healthy version. Healthy junk food, pleasure food basically. You could pretty much take anything, rice, bread, and make a low carb version of that. I would go after that. Bite the bullet, you prepare the food and see if they like it, and then slowly kind of give them something to substitute rather than to deprive them. That's really what you need to do. Now on the website, under recipes, I'm releasing a ton of great meals that I have a full-time chef creating, and also healthy pleasure foods as well. There's a book that you can get. It's called the Ketogenic Meal Plans, okay? And you'll see it. It's a Kindle book. You can see it right on the site. You can click to the right. You have to go to Amazon and get it. It's not that expensive, but it has all of my recipes on my site combined into one section. And every 2 weeks, we upgrade the recipes. So over time, you will have a current version of all the recipes summarized into one booklet. So I suggest you get that, because that way you can have them all packaged in one place. Just type on YouTube ketogenic meal plans, and you'll see it. So you can go through the website or Amazon on my channel. Okay? Thanks for your question. Okay, Karen, do you have any questions yet, or do you want me to take another one?
No, I actually have a phone call that I stole from you. And it's from Naima from Syracuse, New York. She wants to know about menopause and intermittent fasting.
Excuse me. Well, when you go through menopause, the adrenal glands back up the ovaries, because the ovaries go in retirement. So
They
now,
retire.
They retire. And now, if your adrenal glands are tired or weak going into menopause, you may have some symptoms and you may have some difficulty. The problem with the adrenals in intermittent fasting is that if you have a blood sugar issue like hypoglycemia or low blood sugars, when that blood sugar goes down, you don't have the capacity of the adrenals to bring it back up. So you're going to have a hard time going from one meal to the next over a longer period of time. So any person that's doing intermittent fasting and they're having trouble, we know the adrenals need some support. So you want to go at this very gradually, add more fat to the meal, support the adrenals with the B vitamins, the potassium, bam, you'll do it.
Bam.
So that's what we need to do.
Great.
Okay?
Yeah.
So now we're going to go to Kevin. You're from Edmonton, Canada, the home of the largest mall in the world. Go ahead, Kevin.
You always say that.
We're getting some feedback. Kevin, are you there?
Is that better? Hello?
Yeah.
Actually, yes, it is the largest mall in the world. And it's very cold here. But just want to thank you for taking my call, and also just seeing you and your wife together is very adorable. And I love all your information. I've been doing your program since the end of August, and I've lost about 23 pounds. I'm currently at about 176 pounds. I'm about probably 10 or 15 pounds away from my target weight, maybe more like 10. But the problem is I have this still, if I let it relax, I have this protruding kind of pregnant basketball belly.
Mm-hmm.
And recently I saw your video on how to cure a pot belly, and you talked about ascites in there, and it seems pretty clear that there is liquid in my belly. So I took some of your advice. I'm taking serapeptase, taking choline, trying to get more vegetables in there per day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently eating in a 4-hour window, starting in the morning from about 7:30 to 11:30 or so. But I'm wondering if you can recommend exactly what to do to drain the ascites, and really, I guess it's about healing my liver.
Yeah, good question. So the first thing that you might want to do, Kevin, is go to the doc and get an ultrasound of the liver to see what's in there. It may or may not be. There could be cirrhosis, which is scar tissue. There could be fat in the liver, or inflammation. What happens, the insulin resistance starts as inflammation in the liver, and then it forms into fat and scar tissue, so it goes like that. I think you're on the right track. I think what I would do is I would do several things. One, if there's a liver issue, if there's fatty liver, which a lot of times happens when you have ascites, which is fluid in the gut, you want to take choline, get it in a powder form. Take a teaspoon of choline, mix in some water, drink it down with some lemon. Choline's really kind of lemony, so it's kind of tart. So you might want to add some stevia in there and drink that each day. That will actually help clean up some of the fat in the liver. Milk thistle is a great herb. Take it as a tea and a supplement to help strengthen the liver. The other thing that you need to do is start to push that 4-hour window to a 3, to a 2, and eventually to a 1. If you can get to 1 meal a day, you're going to heal that liver a lot faster, and the stomach's going to come right down very nicely. So that's what I would do. Thanks, Kevin. Hey, Garland, you're from Kansas. You had a question about potassium. Go ahead.
Good morning to you and Karen.
Good morning.
Hi.
I'm 50, good morning. I'm 53 years old, and I started keto and intermittent fasting in October. And I had my blood work done last month. And, excuse me, it's showing that my potassium is a little bit higher than their reference range.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the numbers?
And it was 5.6.
Okay.
And I wanted to know if it's safe to take your electrolyte powder with so much potassium.
Do you have a history of insulin resistance or diabetes?
I do not.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so here's my idea. Are you doing a lot of greens, salads and things?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Are you craving salt?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if this has anything. I might mention that I had gastric bypass surgery about 16 years ago. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Okay. Okay, so here's a couple of things that I would look at. It's not terribly out of range. It's a little high, which is always just kind of an indication of something. I would want to pull a string to see what it is. So there's a couple of things that you need to really understand. When they test the potassium, they're checking the potassium in the blood. They're not checking the potassium inside the cell. 99% of all the potassium is inside the cell, not outside. So the fact that you have it outside doesn't give the complete picture of what's happening. There is a test that you can do, just look it up online, and it's called intracellular potassium. I would do that test. You take a little scrape of the inside of your mouth, send your cells to the lab, and just see what's going on inside your cell. Because if you're low on the inside and it's like hanging on the outside, there could be a transportation problem, probably because you had gastric bypass, because you limit the surface lining of the stomach. Now you don't absorb as many minerals, and you might have a problem with that, of absorption, so it could be backing up in the blood. So I would add some acidifiers, some apple cider vinegar to start drinking that, maybe betaine hydrochloride with that, and to try to increase the acid in the stomach, especially if you have a less surface area in your stomach. So I think I would watch some of the other videos with potassium, other sources of that. I don't think I had created a video on too much potassium, but probably in the meantime, just focus on getting your potassium from your vegetables right now, because we don't necessarily want to drive more. We want to see what's going on. So if something is high, you don't want to keep taking it. But I would also add some good sea salt because sodium and potassium work together. And so if you increase some sodium, it should bring the potassium down. I would do this for about 2 months, go back, get it rechecked, and then start to see if it comes back to a normal state. Okay? Thanks so much for your question. All right, Karen, over to you.
Over to me. Okay, great. Well, I have a question from Brenda, who's on YouTube this morning, and she wants to know about hypothyroidism and keto or intermittent fasting, and can that help?
Well, usually hypothyroid comes from other sources because a lot of times people are hypothyroid and then they take thyroid medication, but they don't feel any difference. They're like, oh, wow, take this medication for 20 years, I don't see any change. So obviously there's something else causing it, and usually it's high estrogen or a liver problem or not enough bile or a gallbladder issue because the gallbladder is needed to convert the thyroid hormones. So I would just start looking at some of my videos on thyroid because it'll show you all the different possibilities of what could be causing your thyroid. If you have an autoimmune case, believe it or not, there's a lot of links from being exposed to glyphosate. That is the chemical Roundup Ready in the GMO foods. So what you might want to do is start doing organic, but here's the catch-22. Some organic foods now they're finding that they're being sprayed with glyphosate, but those are mainly the grains. So as long as you're on a keto and you're not doing grains, you're safe. But did you know that out of all the grains, Karen, did you know out of all the grains, which one has the most exposure to glyphosate, which is that herbicide?
Of all the grains
Yeah.
that I can buy in the grocery store?
Yeah.
Whole wheat.
Nope.
Oh.
Oatmeal.
Oh, I did know that.
Oatmeal.
Okay, oatmeal.
But also then wheat. Wheat in general is sprayed. Apparently in the drying process, when they dry the grain, they spray it.
Why is oatmeal more?
I don't know, but that's just by an independent lab that was testing this, and they found oatmeal. And people are like, oh yeah, I'm eating my healthy oatmeal, my healthy whole grains. But I'm going to do a video on this. But unfortunately, there's even foods that are, not considered normally GMO are being sprayed by this chemical.
How can that be? How can it be organic and sprayed by GMO?
Well, that's what I want to pull the string. I want to find out. But certain farmers are using it in different ways. But here's the thing. I'm not saying that organic foods, all of them, but some of them are sprayed. So, but as long as you stay away from grains, like you're supposed to, bread, I think you're going to be a lot better off. So anyway, so I'm going to take a question from Elizabeth.
Oh, I did have another question, but
Florida,
you go ahead with Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, you're from Florida. Go ahead. You had a question.
Yes, I'm 84 years old, and I'm telling you that only because I think that may have something to do with my problem. I've been doing keto for about 4 months, and I don't seem to be losing weight.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a really, really good point because you got this whole tool of keto, which is a combination of a lot of fat, low carbs, moderate protein. And that's going to help a lot of people if they're consuming a lot of carbs in general. It's going to help them tremendously. But there's one little factor here, one little missing piece of the puzzle that you need to know about, and this is significant. If you don't add intermittent fasting to that, you may not lose any weight. Why? Because every time you eat, regardless of whatever you eat, you will spike insulin. So there are people that are doing keto with 6 meals a day with a tremendous amount of those little fat cookies and keto bombs, and it's not working. Why? Because they're eating too frequently. If I were you, Elizabeth, I would start adding the intermittent fasting and eat less frequent. To the point, if you're at that age, you probably should be doing work up to 1 meal a day. You're going to lose weight if you do that. You really will. And there's atrophy of the muscle. If the muscle's not strong and dense, which a lot of women over the age of 50 have, like loss of muscle, that's going to take a good year or two to build that back up. In the process, you might plateau, but you'll be shrinking, but maybe not weight loss. So go with the actual shrinkage of your clothes and stick that intermittent fasting right in there. Okay? So Karen,
Yes.
Go ahead with another
I
question.
have 3 in a row, so hang with me. Okay? Okay, good. So first I have Stephanie, who's on Facebook, and she's saying that she's been fasting for 10 days and she hasn't lost any weight. I'm hoping she's not saying she's fasted completely for 10 days, but address that. That's all the data that I have.
Okay, so we're missing a lot of information because I would always ask, like, you didn't eat for 10 days and you didn't lose any weight? Okay. Or it could be that you're doing intermittent fasting. Is it 2 meals? Is it 1 meal? That's what I want to find out. And then are you doing, as far as what you're eating, like I want to know, are there hidden carbs? Those type of things. And then the next question after that, I would find, if everything is cool, I would find out, do you have any other health problems? Do you have sleep problems? Do you have hormone problems? Do you have any other barrier to losing weight?
Okay, so there's not one quick answer to that.
Then there's one more thing I'm going to ask her after that, if everything is kosher. I would also ask if she is shrinking in her clothes, because so many people, and they got to get out of this whole focus on weight. If what's happening, you're just replacing muscle with fat. So a lot of people plateau, but they're shrinking. So go with your waist size as a primary indicator of it's working or not. Okay? So now I'm done with that question.
Okay, good, good. So then I have Anna also from Facebook, and she wants to know how to handle cold hands and feet. She doesn't say that also she's on intermittent fasting or keto. She says she eats healthy, but what would you say if someone asked you about cold hands and feet?
Typically, if you're asking that question, you're on keto and intermittent fasting because you're being introduced to it right now. And when you do intermittent fasting specifically, not keto, you will run a little colder in the transition phase because your metabolism is adapting to that. So it's being a little more efficient and conservative. It's not slowing down, but it's using a little less energy. And in that process, you might get a little bit colder, but that will clear up over time. What you can do is add a little sea kelp in the morning, and that'll just stir the fire and make you warmer.
Good. One more question. Thank you. This comes up every week, and I'm sure you've done a video on it, but carb cycling.
Yeah. Here's another thing where I don't know who invented carb cycling. I think the same people that invented the cheat day. It's all the same thing. To recycle carbohydrates, first of all, carbohydrates have gotten you into trouble in the first place. Why would you want to add them back in there? It's not going to do you any good because there's no essential carbohydrate.
With athletes, a lot of questions come up with carb cycling, and I'm an athlete or I'm a trainer and I'm building muscle. It's a lot of confusion about that.
If you're an athlete and you work out and you've been running on stored sugar, which is glycogen, on the muscles in your liver, and you're running on this thing and you're depleting it, well, you haven't yet fully adapted, which by the way takes months and months and months to actually achieve the switch. So you actually are running on fatty acids and ketones when you're working out. And that's a whole different workout. In the process of getting to that, you're going to tap out your glycogen reserves and feel kind of funky. But if you go back to carbs, you'll feel better and you'll feel stronger, but you'll never fully adapt to where you want to go. You really want to bite the bullet and get your body into a full adapted ketosis, which takes some months. And then you work out, your workout's going to be off the charts. You're going to feel better, your muscles are going to be a lot better. But I think the confusion is people say, well, I need carbs because I feel so much better when I take them. Well, you got to understand why you feel better. You're just raising the sugars. It's going to come down again. So it does take, Karen, 2 things to build muscle. Okay, it takes growth hormone. Okay, that's the anti-aging hormone. That's why fasting is good, sleeping is good. But it also takes insulin. But you don't want to trigger insulin with carbs. You want to get rid of your insulin resistance so your insulin is normal. We don't want to spike it higher than it is. Oh, the problem with people is they have insulin resistance.
The problem with people...
I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The problem with these situations that people have is insulin resistance. So we are going to get a spike of insulin, but it's ineffective. It's not working in the cells. The cells are blocking it. So it creates all the destruction, but that insulin is unavailable to you to use for your muscles. So people, not knowing that, they take carbs to spike insulin and they don't ever get it anywhere. Okay?
This is a good answer.
All right, so Glenn, we're going to you from Virginia. You have leg cramps. Go ahead.
Yes, hello, Dr. Berg. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Sure.
I have two things I would like some information on, if you could help me.
Okay.
The first one of your recipes calls for arrowroot powder for the bread.
Yeah.
And I looked into it, and it's an 85 on the glycemic index, so
Right.
very high on the glycemic index. So I wanted to know why that was okay.
Yeah.
The other question I wanted to know something about, which is more important, is leg cramps.
Okay.
Having leg cramps at night, taking potassium, taking a potassium esporotate, and I'd like to know what kind of potassium would be best, or if calcium lactate is good, or what I should get.
Are you doing keto and intermittent fasting now?
Yes, I am doing intermittent fasting. I cut 2 meals a day.
Okay, good.
If I exclude my coffee in the morning, I take a tablespoon of heavy cream in the morning,
Okay.
and then I don't eat until 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Okay, great. Let me just answer that. So let's talk about the leg cramps first. Normally, potassium will solve it, but sometimes you need other electrolytes. The other possibility is calcium, magnesium, or even sodium. You may want to try my electrolyte powder because it has all those together, or check them separately. You can do either one, but it's going to be one of those, especially if you're on keto and intermittent fasting, you're transitioning, you need more of these minerals. It's actually a really good indicator to know that you need more minerals for this process, because the leg cramps are just one indication of a mineral deficiency that also you need minerals for other body processes too. So it's going to help you once you add those minerals back in. I would take all the electrolytes. The second thing about the arrowroot powder, we made this recipe for bread, which is to die for. It's like the most incredible bread, and a lot of people are taking it, but there's one ingredient that is arrowroot that's a little high on the glycemic index. It's 85.
Tiny bit of it.
But here's the thing, there's two things. One, the amount that you're taking is very, very, very tiny. So it's going to create a very minor effect. Secondly, you're not going to be eating the whole loaf. So we're just like one piece with some butter and you're good per day. So the amount we're using is small, and then that's to make the whole thing. And we found the arrowroot had some unique properties just to give you that extra amazing edge that people just love. Yeah, the texture. However, the last thing I'm going to say is that I know that's been a point that we have to really work on over time. And there is our chef that we work with right now just came up with a bread recipe, that exact recipe without the arrowroot. And I will be releasing that very soon.
And without the maple syrup, which is fascinating.
Yeah, and it still works.
Right, because the maple syrup was only enough maple syrup so that the yeast could eat the sugar.
Yeah.
You know, ideally there's no sugar left because the yeast ate it all. And when they were going in to make this recipe without the maple syrup, I said, it's chemistry. It's not going to work. But it did work, so you'll have to check it out.
It's taken her a few weeks to just create it and sample and try different things, because we tried everything.
Right.
But this recipe, you're going to be very happy. If it's not released right now, it will be very soon. Okay, thanks, Glenn. All right, good. So, Karen, do you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to say too, and you know, we're going to come out with some more recipes, some, you know, what you call comfort foods. They're just snacks. They're things that people can add to their meal so that they feel like they're not restricted. And in fact, you never have to feel like you're restricted. I mean, the whole point of our website and the recipes is to educate people on how to use other foods. They're not diet foods. It's not a deprivation diet. There's tons of foods and ingredients out there that you can make really amazing foods with and enjoy sweet things and enjoy dessert items and things like that. But it's also you're just having a taste of it. You know, you're not having half a pie, ideally. I don't know. I guess you could have half a pie. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. It might have been 4 cents.
And I just wanted to mention something about this book. There is a new chapter in here from my other book on the pleasure foods, and I have a lot of great. There's one for recipes, keto bombs, healthy granola, comfort foods, English muffins, just all these different pancakes, all these different great recipes. And so there's that, okay? And then there's also this book, which basically is a summarize of all the books on the site. Because so here's what
All the
we're getting.
recipes.
Yeah, here's what we're getting all the time. What am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? And then people want samples. Well, you can just, I summarize them in one little book. It's called the Ketogenic Meal Plan. So it's something that I think will help you. And then every 2 weeks, we'll update it for new recipes. So you'll have all the condensed recipes that we ever have on our site in that one little booklet. So it's pretty cool. You have to go to Amazon to get it. Okay, so we have to go to Victoria from Arizona. You had a question. Go ahead.
Morning, Dr. Berg.
Good morning.
And Karen.
Hi.
Basically, I love the ketogenic diet. I've been doing intermittent fasting. Feel amazing. Got the family on it. But quick question has to do with vegetables. I love vegetables. I love the green stuff, all of it. Basically, non-starchy is what I've been doing, and I love every minute of it. However, on the ketogenic diet, it says to have a range of 50 to 20 net carbs. Do I need to count those, or is it like unlimited, like you could have as much salad as you want? Or
Right.
I just don't know, because I want to do this perfect, and I have like a little bit more weight to lose, and I don't know if that's holding me back, or if it's just, I know you shouldn't do it on the scale, and I know that's whatever. I feel amazing, but I want to do this right if I'm going to do it.
Well, you brought up a really important point that I'm going to have Karen address. No, here's the point, and I'm going to clarify this with a video and a chart so you can see a pie chart. And because I think there is some confusion, because the type of the ketogenic diet I'm recommending is 7 to 10 cups of salad or vegetables. Now, if you take the calories of salad, we're only talking about 100 calories, and that's like in about 8.5 cups of salad. And if you're talking about vegetables, that would be like 250 calories. And if you take an average person that consumes, I don't know, 1,800 calories, it's like 5 to 15% of all their foods would be vegetables. So I'm going to create a little picture so you can see what I'm talking about. But no, you do not want to include the vegetables, starchy, non-starchy vegetables, or the salad into the calculation of your 5% carbs, which comes out to 20 to 50 grams. No, the calculation for carbs you want to include, and I would keep it right about 30 or maybe 20, depending how much weight you want to lose, are the carbs coming from the nuts, the seeds, the berries, and the vegetables like maybe beets, carrots, tomatoes, hummus. Okay, those carbs. That's what I'm talking about. So this way you can actually have a massive amount of vegetables. Now, if you're actually adding the vegetables, so maybe you're not going to get 75% fat, you're going to get maybe, what does it come out to, 50 to 70% fat, depending on if you're doing salad. But I'm going to actually create a little chart so you can see this, and it'll explain things. But thanks for that question. That was good. All right, Karen.
Okay. Well, I have Stacy from YouTube, and she said she's heard a lot of things about keto and cholesterol and the kidneys. And that's all she said, but take it away.
Okay, so now you're going to get me started here.
Uh-oh. Stacy's fault. It's not mine.
No, it's almost like I have to stop from laughing because you have some certain sources in the media will say, oh, well, yes, the ketogenic diet will help you lose weight. It will fix your metabolism, but we don't know the long-term benefits, and it might increase your cholesterol, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's just take a look at one thing. Did you know that your body makes cholesterol? Did you know that? Did you know your body makes 75?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm just talking to her.
Okay.
Talking to the crowd, everyone out there.
Okay.
Did you know that the body makes 75% of cholesterol in your blood right now? Your body makes it. Now, why? Why is your body make so much cholesterol? Because you need it for making hormones. All the cell membranes need cholesterol. Your brain needs cholesterol. So cholesterol is a real essential, almost like a Band-Aid to heal the body. So when you increase the fat in your diet, and at the same time you lower your carbs, that fat is not going to be a problem. It's not going to increase bad cholesterol at all. It's not going to create more heart disease. In fact, some recent studies, like metadata, huge studies, recently just pointed out that We just found out that the data doesn't support this whole eating fat increases your cholesterol or eating fat increases your heart even 1%. In fact, it shows it increases your good cholesterol. I'm going to do a video on this, but unfortunately, there's certain organizations, and this is important, that have been working really hard in the last several years and even longer to push this whole fat is bad and sugar is okay. Large companies are getting in trouble. In fact, 2015, there were over 200 studies done by the food and beverage companies that they're like own researchers that are sponsored by them to try to like downplay that sugar's bad and that there's not a problem with sugar. So you have to realize there's a lot of vested interest in confusing you, giving you misinformation. Your cholesterol profiles are going to do a lot better when you cut down the carbohydrates. Now, if you add the carbohydrates and the fat, that's a bad thing. But one way to drop your cholesterol and triglycerides is to go on a low-carb diet. Okay?
Okay,
So
wow, we got
answer.
you started.
Okay.
Stacy?
Let me calm down.
Yeah, I was just the messenger on that one. But thank you. Okay, I have an interesting question from Anthony on Facebook. He says he's been doing keto and intermittent fasting for a year, and he still has a rosacea issue. He knows that sugar would make it flare, and he's on strict keto, so what else can he do?
Well, I want to make sure he's on intermittent fasting. That's like
he says he is.
Okay, 1 meal a day, that would be really good. The other thing that you want to take as a cream, actually as a supplement, you want to take grapefruit seed extract. Okay, take that as a supplement on a regular basis because sometimes there's certain things growing in the skin that need to be cleansed off on a microbe level. So I would definitely start doing that, and that will help you. I don't think it's anything else other than those two options right there. Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, good. So now we're going to go to Tisha from Atlanta. Go ahead. You had a question. Tisha, are you there?
Hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Hi, Dr. Berg. I just wanted to know, well, I've been on intermittent fasting and keto, and I've lost over 46 pounds.
Wow.
However, I'm having a struggle with belly fat. It doesn't seem like anything is working for my belly fat.
Okay. Okay, so how often do you eat per day?
1 to 2 times per day.
Okay. What type of food, really quickly, are you eating in those 2 meals? Give me an example.
Mainly vegetables, probably chicken, shrimp, something like that, of that nature.
Okay.
I don't need any bread.
Okay, good. Okay.
No sugars.
Do you feel like there's some sagging belly?
Yes.
Okay. So is there skin involved? Is there loose skin involved?
Yes.
Okay. How old are you?
27.
Okay. So here's what you lost a lot of weight. The skin and the collagen, that needs to catch up right now, so that's what you need to tone up. So you need to really increase growth hormone, and that's going to be done with exercise, full body exercise to do that. And then you really need to go down to 1 meal a day. That'll just put you in what's called autophagy, which is going to recycle those proteins and start to really tighten up the skin. The other thing is that when you do sit-ups like that, you basically take a muscle and you don't really tighten the superficial part. You need to do reverse sit-ups, and I actually have a video on this, if you can find it. I don't know, I think it's what it's under, but you'd want to just tighten your stomach and go back and stretch your abdomen so you can tighten that tissue on the front, which is that little pooch, and that's going to tighten it. So it's reverse sit-ups. You're going back, not forward, and that's what I would do. Last thing, you want to do quality proteins. For example, if you're going to do chicken that's not organic, I would do organic chicken. I would do maybe some wild-caught fish, but the quality of protein is important. Some people who do diets with powdered proteins, low-quality soy protein isolates, they start having a lot of issues, especially with the stomach. So I would go up with the quality of protein, and that will help you too. But thanks for your question.
But also, she didn't say that she eats a lot of greens. Maybe that's a given, but
Yeah,
isn't
that's
that a
another
difference
point.
in healing
Another
skin
point.
and tissue?
Absolutely. Good point.
Hey, I had a good point.
Okay, let's go to Kalyan in Arizona. You had a question.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, hi, Dr. Berg. Good.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Great, thanks.
I've been doing fasting once a fortnight very regularly for religious reasons for a long time. And lately, ever since I started watching your YouTube videos, I started doing intermittent fasting, which is I eat a meal like 8 in the night, before that sometimes, and then my next meal is at after 12 or 1 in the afternoon.
Okay.
The next day.
Good.
I'm also an athlete, so I'm not an athlete by profession, though. I'm a recreational runner, training for a marathon, and I do my easy runs, tempo runs, and endurance runs. And lately, I've been doing on a fast. I tried this for about I would say 2 months, and I've been feeling perfectly fine. And the longest run I've done is about 18 miles on an endurance run on a fast.
Wow.
Which doesn't I don't eat any solids in the morning, but during my runs I do drink my own concoction of I don't drink any Gatorade drinks or sport energy drinks commercially available. I make my own. Use lemon juice, freshly squeezed lemon juice, with a little bit of Himalayan salt, and that basically forms my concoction for and beet sugar. That forms my own concoction during my endurance runs.
Okay.
Now I feel fine while I'm doing those runs, but my concern is, would I be able to complete a marathon on a fast?
You might not, or you might.
Yeah, that's the concern I have. On a long term, is it a good idea to do my runs on a fast?
Okay, good. So I did.
While I'm on a fast.
So here, there's more and more athletes that are defying the laws of the body and nature by going on these long marathons and fasting. What's really happening is that you feel fine, which is great, and your body is just running off your own ketones like a machine. In fact, people that do that long distance training, their bodies are 3x stronger in a fat burning. So your body's adapting and it's burning fat like crazy. Now there's certain nutrients that you're taking in this drink, which is I think important for electrolytes. So as long as you're not getting cramps, I think I would push it and keep going. I think you're just adapting to this state of ultimate ketosis where your body can utilize your own fat as the reserve. I think that's awesome. I think that's miraculous compared to what it's known that's out there, but there's a lot of athletes doing this. I'm going to do a separate video on this, but in the thumbnail sketch, the only point I would make is the beet sugar. Most beet sugar is GMO. So just make sure it's not. And if you had to do some sugar, probably molasses might be a little bit better because then you get a lot more vitamins and minerals. But if you could just cut it off altogether, that would be even better. But again, play around with it, experiment with it. And also, I think it would be good for you to join our Keto and Intermittent Fasting Lab group on Facebook. And for anyone else that wants to join, they can go to Facebook. I think we put a link down below. You can sign up for that. And I'm just about to release a bunch of little experiments and different cool things we can try. It's about sharing your successful actions, your results, so we can all learn from each other. But no, if you're feeling good and it's working, ride the wave and try to push it. I mean, I think it's your body just adapting. And as long as you're eating healthy and getting all your nutrients, when you're not working out, I think you're going to be fine. Awesome. All right, Karen.
Okay, good. So on YouTube, Mike mentioned that his wife has been on keto, and initially she gained weight. So why would that be?
Well, there's a couple reasons. One, if you're gaining weight in keto, Well, it could be because you're not doing intermittent fasting and you're just eating a lot of food and it's just going to sit there. Secondly, it could be that you're gaining more muscle weight, and because muscle's heavier than fat, and you might be losing fat. So are your clothes loose? So those are questions I would ask. Third reason, and by the way, there's four reasons.
Okay.
Third reason is that you're consuming a lot more greens that you're not used to digesting, like kale, and it's bloating you, and that is the problem. So you need to change up the vegetable, which I've had people like, oh my gosh, I'm gaining all this weight, they're retaining fluid and all that stuff, or they have an allergy. And then the last reason would be that you have constipation, and that could also be backing you up, and that's why you're gaining weight. I'm not saying you're full of whatever, but it could be some type of weight that's not actual fat.
But I think there's a fifth reason, right? What if you're on keto and you just make fat bombs all the time and you're eating a lot of fat and you're not actually allowing your body to burn its own fat?
Yeah, that would be without the intermittent fasting, because what you want to do is you want a lot of fat, but you don't want to do it as frequently. Now, especially in the beginning, but as you do this, you're going to get to the point where you're going to be so satisfied, you don't need as much fat because you're not hungry for it. And so those people that are adding additional fats like MCT oil, butter, the keto bombs, maybe they want to transition into focus on the fat that normally comes with food in nature, like a fatty hamburger or some bacon or avocado or a whole coconut or the whole, like peanut butter, which has the whole thing, versus some oil that is extra that you wouldn't normally eat. So it's a food for thought, Karen.
It's
All right, Scott, you're from Florida. You had a question about keto and intermittent fasting. Apparently you plateaued.
Yes, Dr. Berg, thank you. And I think you may have partially answered my question with that last answer with the added MCT oil and stuff like that. But I've had good success for about 3 months, and I've seemed to have plateaued. And the only thing that I think that's changed is some anaerobic exercise that I've introduced into my plan.
So you added exercise,
which
then you
also with the weight. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you mentioned, or Mrs. Berg mentioned about muscle weighing more than fat, which kind of answered a question for me as well.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I think you're right on that, because are you really plateauing? You really got to look at the size. There's a great thing you do. It's real simple. Get a tape measure, measure your waist. Go by that as the primary indicator versus the weight. The weight gives you a false picture. If you're working out and you're not, and then all of a sudden you start to slow down, it could be that, or it could be that you're overtraining, you're not getting enough sleep because you're adding extra stress to the body. There's a lot of people that when they start working out, they can't sleep as well because they're overtraining a little bit. So either you want to work out less frequent or have more rest, or not as an intense thing, or not as intense, and then you'll probably get back to fat burning. But thanks, Scott. Good point. Sandy, you're from Kansas. You had a question. You've been waiting for 18 minutes and 51 seconds. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Question. My sister has a blood disorder, polycythemia. And I might be saying that wrong, but I say it how I see it.
Okay.
But she's had it for 16 years. It's a thick blood disorder. And so she has too many red blood cells. And we've had it for 16 years, and it seems to be within the last year kind of more progressing. But as I'm looking and trying to research for her, I feel like it's more, we got to get that diet right. I'm listening to you. I just bought her some of the nutritional yeast. We're getting her the trace minerals. I bought her the curcumin to try to help. So my question is, do you feel, if you know anything about that, is there any part of this that might help her as far as the intermittent fasting or the keto or any of the products that you offer?
That's a really, really good question.
Yeah.
Here's how I would answer it. And there's two viewpoints. And a lot of people bring up, what do I do for this condition? There's so many different conditions, and there's all these remedies that you can provide, and I always recommend a remedy. But I my whole goal is just to focus on getting you healthy, not to treat a disease, not to focus on treating a symptom, but just to focus on creating more health, because that's really what's missing in health care. And, but get the basics in first, and you're going to be shocked to find out how many of these issues just disappear by getting the basics in. In fact, people don't realize how many connections are connected, how many symptoms are connected to having like high insulin or insulin resistance. Is off the charts. So yes, I would definitely get in the keto, intermittent fasting, and then see if something's going on. There's a condition called Rouleau, which is where the blood gets sticky and there's undigested protein in there. And I know that that's like it's almost called a glycated protein, where you have this sticky protein in the body, which is related to dysfunctional insulin. So who knows if that's not what's going on, that's mimicking this disorder. So get her on the keto, do the intermittent fasting, see if that doesn't clear it up. As far as supplements, I would get her on what's called the keto kit, because that gives you the electrolytes, the wheatgrass, and the minerals all together, and the B vitamins. So that way, any transitional issues, it's going to be like real smooth. You won't have a lot of those side effects. And so that's what I would do. And one last little thing, let's say you do all that and it's improved, but you want to take it one step further. There's an enzyme called serrapeptase, which I wouldn't take now, I would take later if you need it, and it cleans up all this extra protein that you really don't need. But put her on the program and call back and tell us how you do. Thanks, Sandy. All right, Karen.
Okay, good.
You have a question?
I do, and before I answer the question, I'm getting an awful lot of questions, basic questions about what food to eat, what's a good keto diet, how to get started. So there's the keto course and the intermittent fasting course. I don't know, can they do the links, can they put the words today, keto?
In Messenger you can.
In Messenger, there should be links, but also if you go to drberg.com, at the top you'll see tabs, on the far right, the tab is called Education, and if you look there, you'll see all kinds of free information. There's a keto course that's free, there's an intermittent fasting course that's free, and everybody should have that under their belt. If you're new, you'll get a lot of answers there, and then go to YouTube, Dr. Berg, and put in whatever word you're curious about, and you'll probably find videos on it.
Because you have to get an education on that.
Education, right. So, on to a specific question. Melissa, who is on YouTube this morning, is curious. She has an issue with chronic low white blood cell count, and she's wondering if keto or intermittent fasting would influence that in any way.
Well, the white blood cells are really controlled by cortisol. That's the adrenals. Cortisol naturally is a suppressant of the white blood cell. That's why they inject you with prednisone for infections and things like that. So probably your adrenals are working a little too hard, so I would really focus on supporting healthy adrenals. Get the adrenals better. You know, there's natural things you can do. You might want to consider getting this, because in this book I actually show you several things, not just what to do for the adrenal body type, what to eat, how to exercise, but there's a chapter in there on that's, I think a lot of people don't even know about it, and it has to do with extracting stress. It's an acupressure technique that I spent a tremendous amount of time, blood, sweat, and tears, to try to figure out. And I used to do this technique on everyone that came in, and it was miraculous. So what I did is I then showed you how to do it yourself, put it in this book so you can do it. It shows you how to extract stress from different places in the body. There's even an acupressure for the adrenal glands and the endocrine system too. I would do that. That'll probably help her a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're so smart.
Thank you. Let me give you that $20.
Honestly, I mean, sometimes I throw you these questions and then you start talking, and I'm like, wow, man, you're really smart. Oh, gosh. Okay, moving right along. We have from Facebook, this name I might butcher, Mukul. Anyway, he's one of the small handful of people that comes to you asking how to gain weight. So if you want to eat healthy and you want to make sure that you're burning the right kind of fuel and you're on a keto diet and not taking in the carbs, How can you maintain weight or gain weight?
I think the best way to gain weight is to go do the DASH diet.
He's joking.
Do the diet that that's the most popular out there. That's rated #1 to gain weight.
Most popular.
The one that's rated.
Most popular.
All the diets that, if you type Google how to lose weight, click that, and that's the one that's going to help you gain the weight the most, because they're going to recommend 60% of your diet carbs. But if you want to do it healthily,
right,
you
roll it back.
And I'm not saying that you're going to gain weight on this. I'm going to say maybe you're not going to be as thin, and your muscles are going to be a little bit more dense. But you want to do, probably don't want to do intermittent fasting other than just 3 meals a day. You want to add a little bit more fat, keep your calories as high as you can with your digestion. And that's pretty much, you're going to max out at that point. You're going to probably gain the weight that you need to do it in a healthy way, and then add the exercise in there with a little bit heavier weights, lower reps.
Right.
That's as far as you're going to go. I don't think you want to gain fat, probably just muscle. Okay? So now I need to go to Amber. Amber, you're from Kansas City. You've been waiting 48 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure, and I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that you've been online a bit, but go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I got you off the speaker because I have a lot of little kids that I'm taking care of today. First, I just want to thank you for your commitment to health and wellness. It's amazing, and I learned so much from you. And I also know that your time is about up. So I'll try and be quick. I just started doing keto and intermittent fasting. I have a 6-hour eating window, and honestly, it's very, very, very easy for me.
Oh, good.
I just don't know. I'm 58 years old, and I'm extremely healthy, except for my weight. I think I could lose 80 pounds.
Okay.
And all my labs are perfect, absolutely perfect. And I am an ovary body type.
Okay.
Because I do have your book, and I am reading. A long time ago, I was on Atkins, and Atkins sent me to the emergency room. I had absolutely no potassium in my system, and a month later, I lost my gallbladder. So I don't want to have anything bad happen to me again,
right.
And I don't think it will on your diet. But I hear people talking about their supplements, and they're taking this and that, and it seems to be very beneficial, and I hear you recommending certain things. I would like to know what supplements would be best for me, because I'm very confused about that. There's so many out there, and I just, I don't think just taking everything is the answer either. And I'm a vegetarian.
Okay.
But I do eat eggs, and I don't know if I eat four eggs a day. I eat 2 for lunch and 2 for dinner.
I think that's great. Well, let me give you some tips, okay?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You had one more point?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good. Great. So Amber, thanks for holding, and I want to answer that. As far as you need to lose more weight, and I think the next step for you, especially if you can do this easily, is I would push to a shorter window period of eating, to the point where you're doing 1 meal a day. I think that would be really, really healthy. But I think the problem with the Atkins diet is a bit too much protein and not enough vegetables. And that's why your potassium drops so much, because as I'm telling everyone over and over, another reason why you need to keep your vegetables high is to prevent a fatty liver and keep that gallbladder nice and healthy, so you don't have one. So now you want to just kind of figure out what kind of supplements. I think the keto kit would be the best thing, because that targets all the electrolytes that you need without the maltodextrin. There's organic raw wheatgrass juice, which is a very good healer, and that will give you a lot of the vitamins and minerals and other really great things to support you that you can read up about. And then also nutritional yeast, so that gives you all the B vitamins. All those products are vegan, but that's what I recommend. And the other thing is, because you don't have a gallbladder, you might want to add in the gallbladder formula, because that'll give you, probably maybe with one of the meals, now that you're on one meal, just take one of the gallbladder tablets right after the meal. That'll give you enough bile to give you what you've been missing to perfect the digestion. And then let's just keep it simple, and then don't add anything else, and just stick with that, and I think you'll get everything you need. I like the fact that you're doing the eggs, because when you're a vegan without any animal protein, it's like hard to get the B12. It's hard to get vitamin A and iron, and you can get those from the eggs. So I like that. I'm glad you're doing it. I think you're going to be fine. You might want to do, you have the book, so do the acupressure on the opposite side since you don't have a gallbladder. And then try to find out where the gallbladder went so you can get it back. I'm just kidding. Thanks, Amber. Okay, so Karen, do you have another question?
Yeah, I have the weekly question. 30 seconds, please, Dr. Berg, on cheat days. Do you have a video on this?
Yes, I have a video
on
30
seconds.
What to eat on a cheat day. Okay, you can watch that video.
5 pounds of sugar.
And basically, it's kind of like in a marriage. Would you ever have a cheat day in a marriage? I don't think so. That could be a problem. So you don't want a cheat day. What you want to do is you want to make this, you want to get your body up to a point of you have this new level of health where now you can afford to go off when you want to, but you're fully doing it with a lot of awareness, and you're willing to be bumped out of ketosis for 72 hours. And you're willing to destroy the liver as you drink alcohol. So as long as you make up the damage and you take full responsibility,
it's fine.
That's fine, but you want to do it with awareness. So I'm not going to give you a cheat day, I'm sorry. But I do want to go to a call from, it's Rafina from Chile. Go ahead, you're on the line.
Hello, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
I have a quick question. My son has been diagnosed with a non-bacterial osteomyelitis 2.5 years ago. And for the last couple of years, he's been on anti-inflammatory drugs because that inflammation was in his upper leg. We finally were able to take him off the anti-inflammatory drugs, and I was finally able to convince him to start eating more keto-ish. I mean, he's mostly on keto, except he's having some fruits here and there. What other supplements do you recommend for him to take in order to make sure it doesn't flare up again?
How old is he?
It doesn't come. I mean,
how old is he?
He is almost 15 now.
How old?
Almost 15.
15. Okay. Yeah, I would really shoot for intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is going to support it's going to drop your inflammation. Okay. As far as the supplement goes, stinging nettle root is hands down one of the best anti-inflammatories. You could do other things too, like omega-3 fatty acids, but stinging nettle root is going to be awesome, but he needs to cut the sugars down and needs to do intermittent fasting. That, and then add more fat. That's going to be the best thing for his inflammation. All right? And thanks for calling from Chile. Hey, you guys have been awesome, awesome, awesome. Thanks for your questions, and have a great week. We're going to see you next week on Friday.
Right?